Good morning. It's good to be with you on this Tuesday morning. I'm glad to be back with you together today studying the book of John. Before we get into today's reading, I want to put in, against my better judgment, I want to put in a plug for something that we're doing here. We started a podcast because honestly, if you're thinking to yourself, you know what I need more in my life of? I need more of Andy. That's what I need to hear Andy's grating voice just one more time in my week. So we started a podcast called Methodist to the Madness, where every week we're going to look at something church history related, hopefully from an entertaining way. Hopefully we'll learn something together too. So I would encourage you, if you're following this on Facebook, you'll see a link to it at the top of my page. We'd love to have you check it out. It's something. And today's episode will be released today at 10 o'clock. So we would encourage you if you follow us on Apple Music or Apple Podcasts, rather, or Spotify. We're on all your major platforms. So anyway, if you're looking for a podcast to go to sleep with tonight with my grating, awful voice with insightful, hopefully, things to say, I'd encourage you to check that out. So today we're going to be reading John chapter 6, verses 22 through 40. John 6, 22 through 40. That's what we read there. The next day, the crowd that had stayed on the other side of the sea saw that there had only been one boat there. They also saw that Jesus had not gotten into the boat with his disciples, but his disciples had gone alone. Then some of the boats from Tiberias came near the place where they had eaten the bread that the Lord had given thanks. So the crowd saw that neither Jesus nor his disciples were there, but they themselves got into the boats and went to Capernaum looking for Jesus. When they found him on the other side of the sea, they said to him, Rabbi, when did you come here? Jesus answered them, Very truly I tell you, you were looking for me not because you saw signs, but because you ate your fill of the loaves. Do not work for the food that perishes, but for the food that endures for eternal life, which the Son of Man will give you. For it is on him that the Son of Man has set his seal. And they said to him, What must we do to perform the works of God? Jesus answered, This is the work of God, that you believe in him whom he has sent. So they said to him, What sign are you going to give us that we may see it and believe you? What work are you performing? Our ancestors ate the manna in the wilderness, as it's written, He gave them bread from heaven to eat. Then Jesus said, Very truly, I tell you, it was not Moses who gave you the bread of heaven, but it was the bread of God that that is which for the bread of God is that which comes down from heaven and gives life to the world. They said to her, Sir, give us this bread always. Jesus said to them, I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will never hunger, but whoever believes in me will never be thirsty. But I've said to you that you have seen me and you do not believe. Everything the Father gives me will come to me, and everyone who comes to me I will never drive away. For I have come down from heaven, and I do not my own will, but the will of him who sent me. And this is the will who sent me, that I should lose nothing of all that he has given me, but raise it up to the very last day. This is indeed the will of the Father, that all who see the Son and believe in him may have eternal life, and I will raise them up on the last day. So we see here a lot of interesting things happening here. One of the things we see quite often in the Gospels is that people are following Jesus, but they aren't following him for the right reasons. They're following him for what they can get from him. So you got to remember, chapter 6, we've seen three major things happen thus far. The feeding of the 5,000. Um, Before that, we had Jesus teaching and healing on the Sabbath. We see Jesus doing this. Um, we see him doing more teaching, and then we see the feeding of the 5,000. So chapter 5 is teaching, feeding the 5,000, walking on water, and now the people are following him, trying to find him and trying to see where he went and what happened. And Jesus says, "You aren't seeking after me because you desire life. You are seeking after me because I gave you bread, not because you saw signs, because you ate your fill of the loaves. You're not coming after me because you saw the miraculous power of God. You're not following me because you saw God's goodness, but you're coming after me because I fed you." Why are we following God, friends? Are we following God today for what we can get out of it? Are we following God because we in Jesus we have seen the power of God? We've seen the power of what God can do. Jesus asked him, why are you following? You seem to just be following me because you ate your fill. You got enough to eat. Why are you following? Why are you following? So we see Jesus asked this question. And then they said, well, our ancestors, they had food from heaven. And Jesus said, Moses didn't do that. Moses didn't do that. God did that. That wasn't Moses. That was God. God was the one that had the power. Don't mistake Moses' power for God's power. They said, give us this bread always that Moses gave to us. And he said, I am the bread of life. I am the one that came from heaven. God gave the bread to Moses that came from heaven. I am the bread that comes from heaven. And you're going to see tomorrow they're going to complain about him saying that because Jesus said, I am. And in the Jewish culture, that phrase, I am, was a phrase reserved for God. So when Jesus says, I am the bread of heaven, he's saying, I'm God. I am God himself. And that we're gonna see tomorrow that does not go well. We'll talk more about that then. But Jesus is telling us that he's the bread of heaven. He's what we need. He quotes to the devil when the devil's tempting him that man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of God. Jesus is life. Jesus is life. Jesus satisfies. Jesus nourishes us. Jesus fills us. Jesus gives us life. And so often, friends, we're trying to find life in places other than Jesus. I've got recording this in my office, and I've got over there I have a Keurig and coffee and all that stuff. And I've got trying to, against my better judgment, I'm trying to eat better now. I had a salad for lunch, believe it or not. No, it was a salad that had it was a cowboy salad from Trace Grill in Madison, so it was full of cheese and hamburger meat and comeback sauce. So I'm not going to tell you that I ate healthy, but I've eaten far worse. But in my little cabin over there, I got some rice cakes. You ever had a rice cake? A rice cake's like it's like eating flavored air and poorly flavored air. A rice cake is the LaCroix of food. It's just nothing. And I could eat that entire cabinet full of rice cakes and still be starving. Still be starving. That rice cake's not going to fill me. It's nothing. It's not going to fill me. I need some food to fill me. The stuff of this world's rice cakes, y'all. Stuff of this world's rice cakes. Fame and power and promotions and work and achievements and money, all these things. It's just rice cakes. Just rice cakes. It's not going to fill you. It's not. Jesus is the bread of life. Jesus fills. Jesus is life. He says in the Gospels, don't spend your money on that which does not fill. Do not labor for that which does not satisfy. So often we're spending so much of our energy on things that aren't going to fill us. And they don't satisfy. So today, Jesus is life. Jesus is the bread of heaven. Jesus is the bread of life. He comes to save us. He comes to fill us. He comes to nourish us. So don't satisfy. Don't settle for something that will not satisfy. Thanks for being with us. We're going to pick up tomorrow with verse 41 of John chapter 6. Have a great day. See you in the morning.